Welcome to the Getty House. On behalf of Mayor Karen Bass and the Getty House Foundation Board of Directors, I would like to thank you all for joining us today for this wonderful celebration of Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. And as this week has shown, the best speaker ever. The foundation is especially proud to host this event because it represents the inauguration of our Lock Arms LA Women's Leadership Series. And as I said before, I cannot think of anyone deserving of this honor greater than Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. I cannot say that enough. In addition to our Lock Arms Community and Culture Series, we have two other programs. We have the International LA Series, where in July we honored UN Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield. And our Strategic LA Series, where the mayor and the foundation brought together all, listen to this, 88 mayors of LA County, the 5 supervisors, LA city officials, community leaders to develop regional solutions to key issues like homelessness and affordable housing. The first mayor to do that. Now, in order to do all of this great work, it takes a real community and hard work. And I would like to ask the Getty House Foundation board members to please stand up and be acknowledged. They're one of the best boards I've ever worked with. I just had to say that. I would also like to recognize the very many elected officials here with us tonight, many of whom have served alongside our guest of honor. So here we go. Are you guys ready? First of all, let me welcome a special guest with us tonight, the former Minister of Finland, Sanna Marin. Marin, are you here? And joined tonight by our Finnish Consul General in Los Angeles, C.G. Samimis. Right? We're also joined by many colleagues of our guest of honor tonight, Congress members Grace Napolitano, Nanette Berrigan, former members Laura Richardson, Lucille Robal-Allard, and Diane Watson. From our California State Senate, Senators Bob Archuleta, Lola Smallwood-Cuevas, and Maria Elena Durazo. From our California Assembly, Assembly members Chris Holden, Isaac Bryan, Jesse Gabriel, Luz Rivas, Mike Fong, and Al Maratsuchi. We're almost done. And our wonderful supervisors from the County of Los Angeles, Supervisors Hilda Solis and my supervisor, Holly Mitchell. And our City of Los Angeles officials, including Controller Kenneth Mejia and City Attorney Heidi Faustine Soto. I'm almost there. City Council President Paul Krikorian, Council members Nithya Raman, Katie Yaroslavsky, Melda Padilla, Monica Rodriguez, Karen Price, Heather Hutt. LA Unified School District Board members Dr. George McKenna and Kelly Gonez, and our Fire Chief, Kristen Crowley, and Director of the Port of Los Angeles, Jean Soroka. Now, in your programs, you may have seen that our friend Rob Reiner was going to be our MC, but unfortunately, he cannot be here tonight. But We are so fortunate to have the brilliant and talented Yvette Nicole Brown as our Mistress of Ceremony for the evening. Yvette is an Emmy-nominated actress, writer, and producer, best known for her roles on Community, The Odd Couple, Big Shot, and currently in Act Your Age on Bounce TV. Her film roles include Dreamgirls, Avengers, Endgame, to name only a few. A stalwart community activist, Yvette is vice chair of the National Boards of Donors Give, works hard for Emily's List, and SAG-AFTRA, and was a significant supporter of Mayor Karen Bass' so successful campaign last year. A caregiver and committed advocate, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Yvette Nicole Brown.
I'm talking about. Well, good evening. My name is Yvette Nicole Brown, and I have the honor of serving as your Mistress of Ceremonies for today's program. Now, please join me in welcoming our host, the 43rd Mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, and our guest of honor, the inimitable Madam Speaker Emerita, Nancy Pelosi. They look so good. Just look good. Get your pictures while you can. Get your pictures. Thank you, ladies. I love that you all stood. They deserve it. All right. To kick off our program today, I am pleased to welcome our musical guests from the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles, led by their founder and artistic director, Chuck Dickerson. The orchestra has provided young people in LA with high-quality music education and opportunities to perform since 2009. Please provide a warm welcome to Chuck, today's conductor, Dwayne Burrell, and the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles.
You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Amazing. Woo! Besides their amazing talent, I can't stop thinking about the Crown Act. You guys know what the Crown Act is? Get to see some Bantu knots, some braids. Yes, yes, children, yes. Join me once again in thanking the wonderful students and leaders of the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles. Yes. Thank you so much. Wonderful. We are here today for a very special reason. We are here to celebrate the Honorable Nancy Pelosi. Her accomplishments have reshaped our country for the better and inspired the world. From the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, let me say it right, and the Affordable Care Act, to bipartisan investments in infrastructure and saving our planet, Nancy Pelosi did the work. Her 2 tenures as Speaker of the House not only broke the glass ceiling, they represent crucial moments in history where her leadership saved lives. There's the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, helped the newly elected President Obama guide the nation out of the disastrous Great Recession. And then the American Rescue Plan, where she channeled critical support to cities and towns to keep small businesses and public services operating through the COVID-19 pandemic. But for many of the younger people here, including our youth orchestra, Nancy Pelosi led House Democrats for most, if not all, of their lifetimes. She led her caucus for more than half of her career in Congress, so over 2 decades. And I can't help but say that we saw on Tuesday that leading your own party in the House is no easy task. When Nancy Pelosi reclaimed the Speaker's gavel in 2019, she was less than a year away from a pandemic that shut down the world. But we were 2 years into a presidency that sought to shut down our democracy. Her leadership, yes, I don't know if we clap for that, but yeah. Her leadership of the House provided the most important check on the appetite for power and the destruction of our institutions that knew no limit. Nancy Pelosi became the line that they could not cross. And we all owe her a debt of gratitude for holding that line. Now, the wonderful Cookie, who didn't even introduce herself. Now, Cookie, come up here, Cookie. Go on and let them see you. Cookie did a great job. Didn't even tell anybody about herself. Hey, Cookie, go on away. That's Cookie, everybody. Cookie mentioned earlier that the mayor had been meeting with mayors from throughout LA County, and I want to recognize some of them and the other elected officials that are here with us today. So here we go. Councilmember David Argudo from the city of La Puente, he's here, yes. Councilmember Maria Teresa Del Rio from the city of Hawaiian Gardens, she's here. Councilmember Paul Seo from the city of Rancho Palos Verdes, yes, oh yes, we love Paul. Mayor Albert Vera from the city of Culver City, yes. Mayor Andrew Chow from the city of Diamond Bar, yes. Mayor Ann Marshall from the city of Avalon. Mayor Chris Anstead from the city of Agora Hills. Mayor David Torres from the city of Montebello. Mayor Emma Sharif from Compton. Mayor Frank Garcia from the city of Maywood. Mayor Isabel Aguayo from the city of Paramount City. Mayor Jessica Anconia from the city of El Monte. Yes, there she is. Mayor Jim Roos from the city of Palos Verdes Estates. Hey, Jim. Mayor Rosario Diaz from the city of West Covina. Mayor Seppi Shine from the city of West Hollywood. Mayor Steve Friedland from the city of Hidden Hills. Yes, Mayor Steve Uring from the city of Malibu. And last but not least, Vice Mayor Yasmin Imani McMorrin from the city of Culver City. Thank you for being here tonight, everybody.
Speaker of the United States
House of Representatives have ever had.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
An iron fist in a Gucci glove.
The iconic, the heroic, the legendary Speaker Emerita, Nancy D'Alessandro Pelosi.
She believed from her years watching her father get elected, the campaign was one on the ground.
How are you? I'm Nancy Pelosi, and I'm for Congress.
I've known Nancy Pelosi for so many years, and we've worked together. And we put together the biggest registration program that our party had ever seen.
Pelosi will take the oath of office a week from now.
The Honorable Nancy Pelosi, you are a member of the House of Representatives.
The House will come to order.
The greatest speaker in the history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Hello, I'm Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi. The most urgent health issue facing our community is AIDS.
Nancy's early recognition of the urgency of the AIDS epidemic saved countless lives.
I worked out in the healthcare reform, and Nancy's the one that finally pushed it through. She's tough as nails, constantly underestimated by her opponents.
We go through the gate's closed, we'll go over the fence is too high, we'll pole vault in. If that doesn't work, we'll parachute in, but we're going to get healthcare reform passed.
The nays are 220, the nays are 215. The bill is passed.
Being a woman is no longer a pre-existing medical condition.
Pelosi's commitment to the American people was apparent when she led the passage of sweeping legislative achievements, even under immense pressure and opposition.
One of the final bills that I signed as Speaker the first time around was the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So you can just imagine how exciting it is at this point, at the end of this term as Speaker, to be signing the Respect for Marriage Act. For our daughters, our granddaughters, we are not going back.
Tying the two together, social justice issues and climate change. Nancy Pelosi was the one to pass the most consequential climate bill of all time.
Democrats celebrating a major legislative win as the House passed the Inflation Reduction Act.
The motion is adopted. Most of all, let us thank and acknowledge the Dreamers for their courage, their optimism, their inspiration to make America more American. Thank you, my colleagues.
Here in San Francisco, the Democrat Nancy Pelosi.
When Nancy Pelosi entered the United States House of Representatives, there were only 12 Democratic women in the entire House. Today, there's 15 Democratic congresswomen from California and 94 nationally.
It gives me great pride to serve as Speaker of the most diverse House of Representatives in the history of our country.
She literally stood up to the President of the United States.
Article 2 is adopted.
Pelosi supporters say having her at the top of the party will energize women voters who are key to Democratic victories.
To the first woman speaker in our history, the gentle lady from California, Nancy Pelosi.
It is a moment for which we have waited over 200 years.
The greatest speaker ever.
I always tell this story. It was posted on a hospital in Africa, and it said, when one day I die and happily go to meet my Maker, and I go before him, he will say to me, show me your wounds. Show me your wounds. If I have no wounds to show him, he will say, was nothing worth fighting for. And I'm proud of my wounds.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I have to say, it is wonderful to see this crowd here. And you know what? Those of you that worked on this event and know me know how much I wanted to do this event. So I'm so glad we're doing it. I'm so glad it turned out great. And let me just thank the board of directors of the Getty House Foundation and our wonderful leader, Cookie Parker, who worked so hard, she forgot to introduce herself. And wasn't that amazing to hear John Legend? That was just great. So let me just say, I think it's an incredible irony that the timing of this event, with the House of Representatives in chaos, And you know, everybody knows Speaker Pelosi's career, so I actually wasn't going to talk about that so much. I wanted to talk about her. I wanted to talk about what it felt like to be a part of her caucus, because let me just tell you something. We would have never done anything like that to Speaker Pelosi, never in a million years. So I had the honor of serving as Speaker in my last term in the State Assembly, and I watched Nancy Pelosi on TV take the gavel. And you know, as Speaker, it's your job to be the leader of the entire institution of the House of Representatives, or in my case, the Assembly. And I watched her, and you know, in the Assembly, it's 80 members. Chris Holden, I see you there. It's 80 members of the Assembly. The House of Representatives is 435. And so I watched from Sacramento as Speaker Pelosi led and insisted on the passage of the Affordable Care Act. And everybody talks about the Affordable Care Act, and of course it's Obamacare, and it's President Obama, but I know that there were many times that Speaker Pelosi was told, we can't do that. It's just too much. You need to just do part of that. You can't change the whole health care system. Maybe you can just do children's health. But you heard her say what she was going to do in order to do it. If she had to parachute in, if she had to jump over the fence. Lucille, you were there. You were one of the ones that helped lead that through. I was watching you all. So when others in Congress and some in the White House told her to settle for less, she said it was absolutely going to be done. So I watched her resolve, her determination, and her ability to organize her caucus and get members to vote for health care, even though many of the members, and I was there when they realized that if they took that vote, they might not win their election. But they took that vote because it was for the American people. Laura Richardson, you were there too. So I also had to lead during extremely tough times, the economic crisis of 2008 and 2010. And I was inspired in Sacramento by her determination to hold strong and to always lead by your values, something we didn't see this week. I followed her lead, and the idea of standing strong in Sacramento when it was very, very tough, when we had to cut $40 billion out of the budget, and knowing that making those decisions was going to hurt people. Sometimes you had to make decisions like that, even if you knew it was going to cause pain. But I told Madam Speaker when I was elected that one of the reasons why I was excited to be a member of the Democratic caucus was because then I could watch her leadership in person and have the opportunity to watch a master at work. Well, what we witnessed this week, the chaos, the disrespect of the leader, the disregard for the national and international impact of the internal warfare that was on display for the entire world to see, would never, ever happen under the leadership of Madam Speaker. Am I right, Lucille? Never, never. And it would never happen because even though, you know, our caucus wasn't always a love fest. There were plenty of people that disagreed. But what we had was we had the respect for the institution, and we certainly had the respect for the leadership. So you fight it out in the room, but you go out there united, and you all vote. And so I'm sure, and I was watching it on TV while you were there this week, I'm sure that the Democratic caucus was horrified at what they saw. So her legislative accomplishments are phenomenal: health care, climate change, the Great Recession, COVID, infrastructure. I could go on for hours. But understand, when a president says that I'm going to put forward legislation to address the climate, the bills have to be written and passed by both houses of Congress. So major legislation cannot become law without the legislative leadership. And Master Speaker's accomplishments are historic, and it's why she's known as the most accomplished speaker in history. So the part of her history is well known. However, I have my own I'm on my own personal crusade because I have one accomplishment that she's done that is not well known to the public, but I'm hoping that one day that a book is written about how our democracies functioned and survived during 4 chaotic years of the Trump administration. Now, I've never asked her what it was like to be the leader of the caucus and then speaker during the Trump administration. I've never asked her what it was like to be the leader when you are painfully aware that the President of the United States is not stable. It's not funny. It's not stable. And the Republican leaders have abdicated their responsibility and essentially acted as obedient staffers. She had to lead the nation. She had to identify the members of the cabinet that she could work with to ensure that the country functioned. If you had a chance to see the video of January 6th, she essentially had to act as the commander-in-chief while Trump sat in the White House cheering on the vicious attack of our democracy. I want it to be known that a woman was in charge during one of the most dangerous times in our history, during one of the most fragile times in our nation's history, and she led without the country even being fully aware of the depth of the crisis we were in. I was there on January 6th. I wanted Los Angeles to know how lucky we are to have had Madam Speaker at the helm. Join me in welcoming Madam Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Isn't it wonderful to be able to say, Mayor Bass, Mayor Karen Bass, isn't it wonderful? Well, there's so much I want to tell you. I'm so overwhelmed by the compliment of Mayor Bass saying what she said. First, let's thank our interpreter here for taking such good care of making sure we understand what is happening here. Tonight is a very special night for me because the mayor just kept insisting that she was going to have this event. I had no idea of the scope, the size of so many of you coming. And Cookie Parker, my friend of many years, thank you again, Cookie, for your leadership. Nicole has been with us time and again, putting forth an agenda for the American people. John Legend, he had, well, when I first became Speaker in 2007, he came to our lunch that we had, our celebratory lunch. It was 2007, so everybody, so many of the people who came were running for president. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Chris Dodd, you name it, the whole list of them. So it was a very special occasion, and we had a very special guest, John Legend, this young man singing so beautifully. And he had this most beautiful young woman with him, Chrissy. And he said, this is my fiancée, and we're going to Italy to get married. Then it was Luna and Miles, and now 2 more little babies. But all through the time, he came to the convention for us. He did all these things for us. And then in 2018, when it was absolutely essential for our democracy that we win the election, not only did he come and perform and the rest, he orchestrated, he produced, and some of you were part of this, a series of evenings where we would have, just communication among ourselves. We would have on the social media events that he planned and brought celebrities in. We raised millions of dollars. And he said, the reason I'm doing this, all these Zooms, the reason I'm doing this is because we not only have to raise the money, we have to get the message out. We must win the election. He made a decision that we would win. He made decisions in favor of winning. And when we won 40 seats, 31 of them in Trump districts, it was in large measure because of how he helped us not only raise the money, but to communicate the message, to mobilize the grassroots to win. So when we talk about Cookie, and we talk about Nicole, and we talk about John, and we talk about, well, Rob Reiner, I'm sorry he could not be with us, but he's been a wonderful resource as well. But how about the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles? Weren't they wonderful? Weren't they just wonderful? And earlier, I understand you had entertainment from the police force band too, as well, when you're out there. Okay, now I'm working up to talking about Karen Bass, but just want to put this in the perspective of what she has done here this evening. Now, she said we had some challenges. About a week and a half ago, she called me and said, is government going to be open? Absolutely, don't worry about it, it's going to be open. It had its ups and downs, but it was open. But at the same time, our senator passed away, Senator Dianne Feinstein. And I know she cared so much about all of you here in the whole state. And we had her service. Today was supposed to be tomorrow. Chuck Schumer couldn't come until today. So here we are. He couldn't come, he had to come earlier. So everything was sort of, I kept saying, Madam Mayor, maybe we could put it off. No, we're having it, and we're having it on this day. And that's just the way she has been. When she came to the Congress of the United States, Karen Bass came as a former Speaker of the Assembly of California. She came as a proven leader, a person who knew how to legislate, not only to write it, but to strategically pass it and get the job done, to work with the state Senate and with the governor to get the job done. So you can imagine her coming in with all of her values, knowing why she's involved in politics, knowing what she cares about so much, and knowing how to get something done. This is an exceptional person coming to the Congress of the United States. Before you know it, she was you're only supposed to be chair of one subcommittee in Congress. Two for Karen. She was chair of the subcommittee on Africa of the Foreign Affairs Committee. How many times did you go to Africa? Endless. About 40. She was the queen. I mean, everybody wanted to know when we were talking about our relationship with Africa, which is so essential to who we are and how we relate. What does Karen Bass think? The people in Africa, the leadership as well as others there, respected her so much. And when she showed up, that was like the imprimatur. Karen Bass has visited us. Karen Bass has visited us. And it wasn't like she was a member of Congress for a very long time when she was making these visits. But right from the start, her, shall we say, when I say heft, do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm talking intellectual and all of that. Her excellence, her brilliance, her concern, her knowledge. Knowledge and brilliance are two different things. Brilliant, you can be brilliant and not know anything. She knew it all. She knew it all. And she was an enormous resource to the House and the Senate, Democrats and Republicans on these issues. A tremendous resource. Then she was on the subcommittee on the Judiciary Committee, where you know that Karen Bass advanced the George Floyd legislation, and she passed it in the House. She could pass it over and over again. The family of George Floyd came to see her, and we said to them, they said, "Will you name the bill for George Floyd?" And she said, "Only if it's worthy of George Floyd." And she made the bill worthy of George Floyd that came out of the House. The Senate is another body, they got their own rules and all that. but everyone could see where the strategic thinking, the actual suggestions, not only suggestions, proposals that could get the job done. We will have something done at some point, but we have been taken all the way down the road in the House of Representatives by the leadership of Karen Bass. And she will maybe admit this was a very big deal, right? It was hard to do, and it was because you always want to do as much as possible. On the other hand, you have to do what the reality is of trying to get it to become the law of the land. I just give you two examples of her committee work. She was obviously recognized in so many other ways, has been in the Congress. So when she was running for mayor, it was so thrilling for all of us, because we knew how extraordinarily talented she was, brilliant, knowledgeable, strategic, caring. This is all in your head, brilliant, strategic. Caring is in your heart. And everybody knew that Karen Bass cared. So this was sort of the imprimatur of all the things that we cared about, that she would get elected, that she would be elected. And isn't it a triumph, not only for her, not only for Los Angeles, but for the country, that Karen Bass is Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles. I know you know how great she is. I just want you to know the esteem with which she has been held in the Congress, effective from the start. We called her Madam Speaker the first day she came to the Congress. Madam Speaker. Lucille Roba-Allard can attest to that. Lucille, you honor us with your presence this evening. Lucille served in the Congress. Well, I served with her father before her, Eddie Roybal, and now with Lucille Roba-Allard. And she was the author. She was the author of the Dreamers Act, Lucille Roba-Allard, the author of the bill. And we still have to get that passed. And Hilda Solis, who was here, she was with us. Then she became Secretary of Labor, but a champion for America's working families. Hilda Solis, Madam Supervisor, now. Now, here's the thing. The reason I mention them is because they're so fabulous and are with us this evening, but also every compliment that I have been paid in the film or by the mayor, Madam Mayor, none of it would have happened without the courage of the House Democratic Caucus, without the members. I will take responsibility if it doesn't work, but they deserve all of the credit, because the word that is just about Karen Bass and about the others as well that makes all the difference is courage. Karen talked about the courage of those voting for the Affordable Care Act. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm very proud of the House Democrats. So no matter what our differences might be, we have common values. And we know why we are there. And we're there. My why was always for the children. Now, at the end of that film, you saw this, about the bishop in Africa who posted on the wall, "When I go to heaven and I see my maker, he'll say, 'Show me your wounds.' And if I have no wounds, he'll say, 'Was nothing worth fighting for.'" Well, that was taught to all of us by Sister Joyce. Sister Joyce, are you still here with us? Sister Joyce was so remarkable. She's the one who sent that to me, and now everybody takes credit for it. Sister Joyce. Sister Joyce is responsible. So let's just say this, and I could talk all day about Karen Bass, and you think I probably will. I just want to acknowledge that hardly ever does my husband come with me to an event. But to come for Karen Bass, I'm so proud that Paul Pelosi is with us. Thank you. So what is it? What is our task as we leave here? Karen challenged us in talking about our democracy. Without being a fearmonger, but just telling you, I didn't know we could sort of compare parties, the foundation and all that, but in civics, just speaking civics, thank you, Getty House Foundation, for having us an opportunity to talk civics in our country. It's a, how to say this? They do not share our value as protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States, which is the oath of office that we take. It used to be and probably maybe when you were in the speaker in state legislature, it may have been the same, Karen, Madam Mayor. I have been there a long time. We worked with the Republicans. We disagreed in terms of the role of government, but that is what a democracy is about. And then all of a sudden, it changed into something else, like in the 90s. And then it got worse in the 2000s, and then under what, I don't use his name because to me it's almost like a dirty word, but whatever his name is, who used to occasionally occupy the White House. And this is really very deadly serious. You know, many of you in this tent participating, whether we're talking about just going back in our history. We had a constitution, the vision of our founders, beautiful thing. Thank God they made it amendable because it didn't give all the promise of the Declaration of Independence in the Constitution. Over time, the abolition of slavery, black men having the right to vote, then women having the right to vote, and then it went on and on, LGBT rights, women having the right to choose. We have always expanded democracy in our country until they came along with their court and the rest, narrowing a woman's right to choose. That's a narrowing of freedom in our country, but it's just one example of the disregard they've had for the Constitution and the right of privacy that is in there, for precedent in the Supreme Court that the precedent was that a woman had a right to choose. So disregard the Constitution, disregard the precedent of the court, and they've even said everything else is up for grabs if you eliminate those two things. So we really have to hopefully bring the country together. Of course, I think that is done by winning the election, but we're not talking politics here. We have to bring the country together. There's so much at risk. There's so much at risk. And that's two things about tonight, well, many things about tonight that I love, including each and every one of you who are here, and Karen Bass, who's our leader, but the music, right? Stollers, music brings us together. We sing together, we laugh, we smile, we forget our differences. The arts bring us together. We just have, whether it's a painting or a play or a musical performance or a book, whatever it is, we find our common ground. We forget our differences and we try to find a path. So that's what gives me hope. What also gives me hope are our young people, because they really do understand. They understand the heat, and we're having a climate crisis. So let's work together, trust the science, get the job done, and we're very proud of the bill that we've had, the biggest bill in the history of our country, under the leadership of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Democrats in the Congress of the United States. And then, with all of that, we have to be thinking about our Constitution, our country, our democracy. I'll just close by saying, because there's so much I want to tell you about Karen, but let me just close because she stood up, and I think that's a signal. I'm originally from Baltimore. I've been in San Francisco over 50 years, and but take great pride that the national anthem was written there during the War of 1812. And you know, at the game, when everybody gets to the end of the end, they all cheer at the end of the national anthem. Well, I cheer earlier. I cheer when it says, "Proof through the night that our flag was still there." We have to make sure that our flag is still there, and that is what we are proving through this night. But that our flag is still there as we pledge with liberty and justice for all, for all, for all, for all. So thank you all. Again, it's a hard day because of losing Senator Feinstein. I worked with her for decades for California. She was a champion for our state. She was a great mentor and mentee. She listened to people and tried to incorporate everything that they were concerned about in legislation. So again, she was an iconic, indomitable figure leading the way for women. And I told them in my speech today at the service that after she was mayor for 10 years, Madam Mayor, after she was mayor for 10 years, and then she was term limited out 2 years because of the tragedy and all, the kids would say, "Why are these men running for mayor? Can a man be mayor of San Francisco?" In any event, we're so glad to have Madam Mayor in Los Angeles. Thank you, all of you who made that possible for this city, for this state, for our country. Karen Bass is so very, very remarkable. And you would have had to see from day one, with this beautiful personality, this strategic legislator, this values-based leader coming into the Congress, just as I said, effective from the start. Madam Mayor, Karen Bass. Thank you, Karen.
So, on behalf of all of us in the Getty Foundation and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, we have a star. We have a star for Nancy Pelosi with a gavel in the middle of the star in appreciation of your fight to save our democracy.
I love it, and it's pink. Thank you, Karen Bass. What a remarkable thing. I will display this with great pride in Washington, D.C.
Well, here we are, guys. I want to thank Madam Speaker and Madam Mayor, and a huge thank you to John Legend for his amazing tribute, and thanks to all of you for being a part of today's event.